The heart of the righteous studieth to answer, but the mouth of the wicked poureth out evil things. One verb studieth. Tonight we ask what becomes of that verb when the answer arrives in a tenth of a second. Welcome back to CrossAIHub. Last night in episode 4, we asked how to ask. Tonight we ask how to answer and how to wait on purpose before you press send. The Hebrew of Proverbs 15, verse 28 is more precise than most English translations let on. The word translated studieth, haga, does not mean to skim or to consult. It means to meditate, to mutter, to turn over. It is the same word the first psalm uses for the righteous one who meditates on the law day and night. The heart of the righteous does not retrieve an answer. The heart of the righteous turns the answer over in silence before it lets the mouth open. The contrast in the second half of the verse is sharp on purpose. The mouth of the wicked poureth out evil things. The Hebrew there is naba, to bubble up, to gush. It is the opposite of meditation. It is the answer that arrives without weight, because nothing was carried before it spoke. The book of Proverbs returns to this contrast more than once. Chapter 18, verse 13 makes it a rule. He that answereth a matter before he heareth it, it is folly and shame unto him. James, the brother of the Lord, paraphrases it in his letter. Let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. Ecclesiastes adds, Be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thine heart be hasty to utter anything before God. The whole wisdom tradition agrees on this one habit. The righteous answer is the slow answer. So speed is not by itself a virtue. Speed is at best neutral. At worst, when it crowds out haga, the slow turning, it is the mark of the wicked mouth, the one that pours out before it has carried. A language model is the fastest mouth ever made. It pours out before any heart has turned anything over. That is not an accusation against the model. That is just what the model is. It is a function from prompt to text, with no interior, no carrying, no waiting. The hazard is not the model. The hazard is when we adopt its tempo. When the model answers in a second, the human temptation is to answer in 2. We forward the model's words, we paste them, we hit send before the heart has done its haga. We become in our reply a longer version of the model's instant gush. Proverbs is not against fast tools, it is against fast tongues. The discipline is to keep our tongues slow even when the tools beside us are fast. There's a verb in the first psalm that the whole of Scripture circles back to again and again. But his delight is in the law of the Lord. It can quote Psalm 1 and Joshua 1 and Psalm 19 in any version, in any order, at any speed. What it cannot do, and what no model will ever do, is meditate. There is no haga in a machine. The murmuring belongs to a heart that has decided to slow down on purpose in the presence of the one whose law it carries. There is a phrase in Proverbs chapter 17, verse 27 that should be carved over every keyboard. He that hath knowledge spareth his words, and a man of understanding is of an excellent spirit. Spareth, shasak in the Hebrew, means to withhold, to keep back, to ration. Knowledge is rationed speech. The wise are stingy with what they say, not because they have less to say, but because they have carried more of what they know before saying it. James puts it bluntly in his 3rd chapter, 2nd verse. If any man offend not in word, the same is a perfect man, and able also to bridle the whole body. The bridle on the tongue is the same instrument that controls the whole body. There is no Christian maturity that bypasses the discipline of slow speech. Now apply this not to the spoken word, but to the typed word, to the forwarded word, to the pasted word. the same rule, the same bridle. The whole body, including the body of your work, is governed by what you do not say and by how long you wait before saying it. So here is the output side discipline. When the model gives you a reply, 3 steps before you act on it. The first step, read it out loud, not silently. Move your lips, hear the rhythm of the sentences. The model is a master of plausible rhythm. Reading aloud is the simplest way to feel where the plausibility is hollow. The second step, find the verifiable claim. Every paragraph the model writes contains at least one sentence that is a checkable fact, a real source, or a real quote. Find that sentence. Check it. If the model said it confidently and it turns out to be false, treat every other sentence in that paragraph with the same suspicion. One falsehood discovered is a confession that the writer did not haga, did not carry the words before speaking. The third step, wait the time it took you to ask. If your prompt took 10 seconds to write, wait 10 seconds before sending the reply onward. If your prompt took a minute, wait a minute. The accounting falls on the one who sent the words onward with his own name attached. This is the gravity behind the discipline. The bridle on the tongue is not a personality preference. It is a preparation for an account. You will be asked one day about the words you sent, not the model's words, but the words you allowed to leave your hand. The slow reply is not a productivity habit. It is a posture before the one who keeps the ledger. Pause for a moment. Think of the last reply you forwarded today, an email, a text, a comment, that began as the model's words. Did you read it aloud? Did you check one sentence? Did you wait the time it took to ask? Not as accusation, as inventory. The bridle is for tomorrow. 3 habits if you would like the bridle of Proverbs to land in your hands this week. The first is the unsent draft folder. When the model gives you a reply you intend to send to a person, paste it first into a draft folder. Leave it there until the next time you sit down at the desk. Reread it, decide then. Most of what we forward in haste is forgotten in 20 minutes. The drafts that survive a sitting are the ones worth sending. The second is one sentence in your own voice. Before you send any reply that has the model's hand in it, add at least one sentence that the model did not write and could not have written. A sentence with a name, a memory, a specific shared moment, a single concrete detail. That sentence is the bridge from the model's mouth to your own. Without it, your reply is plagiarism, even if no one will ever know. The third is the spoken aloud test. Before you publish anything the model has written, a post, an email to a stranger, a comment, an article, read the whole thing aloud at the pace of normal speech. If your tongue catches on a phrase, your reader's eye will catch on the same phrase. The model writes for the eye that scans. The bridled mouth writes for the ear that listens. There is one more habit, older than the other 3. David prayed it as a single sentence, and the church has prayed it after him for 3,000 years. Set a watch, O Lord, before my mouth. Keep the door of my lips. Psalm 141, verse 3. Set a watch. The image is military, a guard at a gate, not a suggestion to the tongue, but a posted sentry against it. Translate the prayer into the keyboard age. Before you send anything the model has written to anyone you do not know personally, post a watch. Put the message in a folder named Watch. Do not look at it for 1 hour. When you return, read it once more aloud and ask the single question the watchman is posted to ask. Is this word for the building of the one who will read it, or only for the sending of it from me? If the answer is only for the sending, delete it. If the answer is for the building, let it through the gate. Paul gives the standard that the watchman is to apply. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29. That it may minister grace, that is the test. Not is it true. The model can be true and still corrupt. Not is it clever. The model is endlessly clever. The test is, does it minister grace to the hearer? The watchman at the door of your lips and the watchman at the door of your outbox are looking for the same thing. They are looking for grace. A reply that ministers grace is slower than a reply that does not. Always. The grace takes time to gather. The watchman is the friend of that gathering. Set him at the door, and do not be in a hurry to send him away. A small family that meets twice a day, a hymn at 5 each morning Phoenix time, a teaching at 7 each evening. We hide our faces for Matthew chapter 6. The home of all of this is CrossAIHub. Come, the hymn library, the teaching archive, and the slow conversation that grows there. The wisdom literature gives us the bridle. The Gospels give us the one who wore it perfectly. When the soldiers of Saul hunted David in the wilderness, the king of Israel walked into the very cave where David and his men were hiding. David's followers urged him to strike. The chance was perfect. The text says in 1 Samuel chapter 24 that David rose up secretly and cut off only the skirt of Saul's robe, and then his heart smote him for even that small act. He answered Saul afterward from a hilltop with the quiet question of a man who had carried his anger for years and refused to let it become a sword. The Lord be judge between thee and me. The slow reply in David's hand was the difference between the throne he was promised and the throne he would have taken by force. The prophet Isaiah saw the deepest pattern of it 700 years before the cross. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before her shearers is dumb, so he openeth not his mouth. Isaiah chapter 53 verse 7. The suffering servant, the Christ, would carry the heaviest accusation any tongue has ever borne. And the answer Scripture marks first is silence. Matthew tells us the fulfillment. Pilate stood before Christ and asked him many things, and he answered him to never a word, insomuch that the governor marveled greatly. Matthew chapter 27 verse 14. John records the same scene in his 19th chapter, verse 9. Whence art thou? But Jesus gave him no answer. The Lord of every word, the Logos himself, chose in the most consequential trial of human history the slow reply that was no reply at all. Not because he had nothing to say, because he had already carried what he came to say all the way to the cross, and the silence before Pilate was part of the carrying. There is a verb the church fathers love to use for this: pondering. The Greek of Luke chapter 2 verse 19 says of Mary at the manger that she kept all these things and pondered them in her heart. Symbolousa, to throw together, to weigh, to hold one thing against another. The mother of the Logos modeled the carrying before the Logos ever spoke. The shepherds gushed, the angels announced. Mary pondered. The contrast is on purpose. The slow heart is the cradle into which the word can be born. So here is the application for any of us who write with a model beside us. The standard is not the speed of the answer. The standard is Christ before Pilate, David above the cave, and Mary at the manger. 3 figures, 3 silences, 1 rule. The most important reply you will ever give will be the one you do not rush. A model has no Gethsemane. A model has no cave. A model has no manger. A model has never held a sword and refused to use it. A model has never been accused of a crime it did not commit. A model cannot ponder. It can only retrieve.